Hello and welcome to the Con Couple. I'm Richard.
And I'm annoyed he mixed up the mic check.
In what way did I mess up the mic check?
You pointed for me and told me to test the mic, but then immediately looked away.
Yeah, it's fine. Do you have an actual name? For anybody for whom this is their first episode?
This is going to be no one's first episode.
You don't know that. We didn't hand out any cards at this event, but
We didn't even stay terribly long.
No.
Although, in fairness, if the furries are doing a listen back, because at furry cons, we don't tell people our names.
This is true.
Not because we don't want to, just because we don't.
Yep.
Anyway, my name's Caroline.
Thank you. And we go to a frankly baffling number of cons every year.
I would say we go to too few cons.
Thank you.
This is our 30th episode, though.
It is. We have somehow managed to make a podcast about going to conventions a weekly thing for the last 30 weeks.
Yeah, and keep in mind we live in Ohio, where there's reportedly nothing to do.
Yeah.
Those people are idiots.
There is, in fact, a lot to do in Ohio if you're prepared to drive for like an hour or two.
I don't know. I think you and I have talked about this before, but I get that Ohio is funny in the same way the name Bob was funny back in the early 2000s, which is fine. But the people who actually live here also want us to think it's shit, and yeah, I just kind of don't. It's about the same as everywhere else, and there's plenty of fun stuff to do if you look.
Yep.
Plus, the stuff is significantly less crowded, and I like that a lot.
Yep.
Not this one, though.
No. So, where were we this week?
Ohio Renaissance Festival,
Yep.
which counts as a con for purposes of our numbers.
Yes. It's a con, kind of.
Sort of.
It's in a similar vein. Look, we get we're fudging it a bit with this one, but again, convention, festival, expo.
Yep.
Are basically the three big overarching describers of the events we go to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think going to a Ren Fair counts.
I would say so too, and it is something for which this is a fairly major event in Ohio, so it makes sense that we should cover it.
Yes. Did we mostly go to this because we wanted to talk about it on the podcast? Yeah, we did.
I mostly went about it because we wanted to go grocery shopping down in Cincinnati.
That's also a factor. So,
As forewarning, we do try to be fair. As you might be able to glean, this event is not our favorite.
no.
And we have gone to it 3 times now.
Yes, this is our third year going to it.
Our complaints have been about the same every single time.
Yes, our issues with this are extremely consistent. Interestingly, at least one of the things that we complain about is a thing we know some people love about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, opinions are going to vary. Our opinion is not sacrosanct. The fact that this is not one of our favorite events doesn't mean it can't be your favorite event, etc., etc., etc.
Yep, and if you absolutely love it and go every weekend, go you. I'm sure it actually probably is more fun if you have, because we just got day passes because we did it today. We're not going to do it again before the end of the season.
Yep.
But you can go through the entire season, which I think is the first week of September till the last week in October. Yep. So about 2 solid months.
Yeah. And again, if you buy one of their season pass things, which I think you can go, it's after a certain time, I believe.
So they have 2 options for season pass. One is just you can enter any time with the season pass, and one is you can enter after 2 p.m. with the season pass. So we could do right now is it's only 3, but
yep, but we're not going to do that.
No.
Well, I think it closes at 4, doesn't it?
I think it closes at 7, but I'll double check.
Put it this way, I'm pretty sure our tickets say we can enter any time between 10:30 and 4.
Yeah, I think you might not be able to enter past 4, but you can stay past 4.
Yeah. So, specifically, Renaissance festivals are a thing that have become really big in the last decade or so.
They were a thing, because I remember going to them as a child, too. They're definitely not new. I think they've just kind of been another one of those things that seems to have exploded in popularity.
That, I think, is probably fair. And there are certain things that, any Ren Fair above a certain size, you're going to see a bunch of, fairly consistent things. You're probably going to see some people in armor smacking each other with swords.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a big enough one, you might see some jousting. There's going to be a bunch of different shows and various other things, and a whole bunch of effectively vendors booths who are selling you stuff of various types. So, clothing, jewelry.
A lot of it is artisanal, and a lot of it is different than what you would see other places.
Yes, which is definitely one of the good things about a Ren Fair.
Also, let's get this out of the way now, because multiple people, just due to the fact that you're British, are worried that Ren fairs are somehow offensive to your culture. Are they?
Yes, I am deeply, deeply offended by people having fun and dressing in fun costumes. How dare you?
So I know some people like to complain about Ren fairs because they're not historically accurate or whatever, but it's meant to be like
It's fantasy.
it's historical fantasy.
Yeah,
It includes everything.
there-
That's fine.
There's a reason why like half the people who work for them are in some kind of fantasy themed costume. Like we've seen plenty of like fairies and witches and like other stuff that didn't exist. Like it's fine. It's not. I don't think any Ren fair is claiming to be a completely historically accurate recreation of medieval life. Because if they were, there'd be a lot more mud, and there'd be a lot more starving peasants.
And also a lot more disease.
Yeah, everybody would have something.
It's meant to be more of a celebration of just historical fantasy.
Yeah.
It's always what it's meant to be.
Yeah. Like again, I could spend hours criticizing the sword fighting you're going to see in one of those like knights battling each other things,
Which he actually does do.
Yes, but I'm not going to spend hours doing it on this podcast because again, it's meant to entertain the masses, not be an accurate recreation of medieval sword fighting. Again, it's okay. We're operating on the same Santa Claus rules for that we do for professional wrestling. How about that?
Okay.
It's basically a case of think of a show like that the same way you would think of pro wrestling, i.e., for any kids in the audience, it is 100% real, and that Black Knight was very, very dangerous, and the noble hero did a great job in defeating them.
And kids think that because under Santa Claus rules, that's 100% true.
Of course. Did I say anything otherwise?
No, but it seemed like you were going to add to that.
No, it's mostly just that parents are cynical and sometimes don't realize how true and accurate that is.
Yes.
So yeah, that's basically the way that it's best to think of those kind of shows. And here's the thing, that's fine. They're fun. They're entertaining. Like you and I do enjoy. I do enjoy going to pro wrestling style shows at conventions sometimes because it is that kind of entertainment. I'm not asking for Ren fairs to have like historical accuracy because I'm going to be honest. Even as somebody who is a fan of history. History sucked most of the time for the people living in it.
Yep.
Like we do actually live in easily the best time to be a human being.
So far.
Like even going back, life is a lot better now than it was even like 30, 40 years ago.
At least if you're white.
Yes.
And also I want to emphasize I really don't like progress narratives for things like racism or sexism because they're just kind of different at different points. Medicine, however, has improved pretty consistently, and I think we can at least definitively say that medically there's a lot of stuff that's improved.
Yes.
Like just life expectancy, circumstances like that.
Yeah. So yeah, for anybody who criticizes Ren fairs for not being historically accurate, fair enough, you can do that, but they're not trying to be, and that's not what we are here to criticize.
No. And we're also not going to say that this was a disastrous event because it's been very consistent the last 3 years. It's been exactly the same, pretty much.
Yep, pretty much. We have specific issues, and we will get to those. But, there are a lot of people who go to this event, and a lot of them have a good time.
Yep.
I'm willing to bet of the people who go to this, most of them have a really great time, really enjoy themselves. It's mostly just, it doesn't have that much stuff that appeals to us specifically. And that's not a criticism. That's actually not even a criticism. That's just a case of, we know the kind of things we like from a convention or a festival, and we know that what we want isn't necessarily what everybody else wants.
Look, I will point out this will probably be our biggest criticism also. This is just a crowded outdoor event. Mm-hmm. We don't really like crowded outdoor events.
Yeah.
That's about what it boils down to.
Yeah.
It's not going to not be outdoors, and it's not going to not be crowded, so it kind of faces an uphill battle with us.
Yep. So, yeah, should we talk about the actual specifics of this Ren fair compared to other Ren fairs?
Yes.
So, this particular fair is built around effectively a circular pattern.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably more of an oval, but, that's fine. With a bunch of different, stalls and shops and that kind of stuff around the outside, and then in the middle is where most of the showy stuff takes place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not a completely accurate statement because there's like a couple of bulges off the circle where there's a food court and like the mud shows off on one side and things like that. Like, but generally speaking, if you walk around it in either a clockwise or anti-clockwise direction, you will see a decent amount of what they offer, and then kind of go into the central section to kind of walk around and see some more stuff.
Yeah, and there's pretty much vendor stuff pretty much everywhere along the path. There's several stages. There's a jousting ring.
Yep.
It's standard what you would expect if you've ever been to a Ren Fair type stuff. Food stalls. There's a specific area where there are kind of more of them, but they're also kind of just scattered throughout the venue.
Yeah, like if you get peckish, you'll probably know more than a 2-minute walk from any given place that will sell you food. Whether it's the exact food you want when you get peckish, that's anybody's guess, because there's actually a pretty decent variety.
Mm-hmm. Bathrooms are all outdoor porta potties, which I'm not a fan of, but I get that there's like not another option.
Yeah. And at one point, we did see a pretty big queue outside them, and somebody was, just kind of went by the queue and was just like, just so you know, there are more of them further around.
Mm-hmm.
So there are multiple like bathroom places. They're just not necessarily the most obvious things.
They're not obvious, and again, it's a porta potty, so it's not going to be like the nicest thing ever. I will say though, despite all of this, costuming there is fantastic.
Oh god, yeah. So the interesting thing you do find about Ren fairs is that because they don't, as far as I'm aware, don't do like costume contests, there are basically no rules for what you wear. Outside of obviously like don't wear anything that's going to get you arrested for violating local decency laws. But it does mean that people will just wear interesting costumes, and sometimes they're things they bought, sometimes they're things they've made, sometimes it's a combination of the above. So you do get to see a lot of really cool stuff. It was actually nominally the Time Travelers weekend.
Yeah.
Because they do a lot of themed weekends this weekend. So we went a bit steampunk with this one. You wore your new Whimsy coat.
Yep.
I just wore my usual steampunk look, and we were not out of place at all. We had fun. You got a few compliments.
Yep. So yeah, the costuming's great. It's fun to just walk around. It is very, very crowded.
Yes.
So parking there is free, which is nice.
It is.
Tickets, I think, are about, if you just buy a single one, is about $40 each.
35 plus.
Yeah.
It was $35 plus the usual online booking fee and all of that.
So yeah, about
nonsense.
$40.
So yeah, call it about 40 a person. And I literally bought these tickets yesterday. So yeah.
The parking is free, so it kind of evens out a little bit there.
Yeah.
Parking is a total it's very crowded. If you get there anywhere close to start time, you're going to be in a massively long line. That does keep moving and is extremely well organized, I will say.
It is. In terms of how it's handled about as well as it possibly could be.
Yeah.
They are actually experienced at wrangling this many vehicles and do a good job of pointing you in the right direction and basically saying, okay, you turn here, you go down here, you go here. They do a very good job of that. It takes a while, but it is efficient. I'll give them that. But it does mean that you are going to be parking on a field, and unless you get there an hour before they open, you are going to be parked on a field a moderate walk away. If you get there, we left around 12:30ish, and by that point they were already into their overflow car park space, which is it's a decent walk. It's not, unless you have mobility issues, and they do have specialized disabled parking. I will specify that. Unless you have mobility issues, it's not going to be you're probably looking at a 10-minute walk up the thing.
10 minutes seems extreme. I would say 5, maybe at most.
I was thinking for that really distant parking.
Okay, that might be 10-ish, but it's not. Neither you or I are much of people who mind walking. It's actually kind of relaxing for us. So I don't view that as much as a criticism. I just will say if you have a disability or a temporary disability and all, it can be a bit difficult. They do have disabled parking. At least when we got there, it didn't look like it was 100% full, so that's good. Yeah. But it is still just on the grass, so anyone who has any issues with mobility generally is gonna
have some problems.
And that's just gonna be true for the whole because again, this is outdoors on gravel roads and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you're in a wheelchair or something like that, you are not going to have a good time. And again, so one of the chaplain at our university is currently in a wheelchair. Came off his bike, broke his leg. It happens. But he was commenting on he didn't realize how inaccessible the campus was until he was wheeling himself around it. And like, I suspect that's the same thing is true of this fair. Like, you don't realize how inaccessible it is until you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like, there's a reason why. Like, I saw one person with crutches, but other than that, like, not
There
a
was
lot of.
somebody with those like fawn legs that are like basically stilts that were working on them. I admire the commitment to that.
So do I. Like, they were doing a great job, but like,
You also,
that was a choice they
Yeah.
made as opposed to a disability access thing.
the other thing about it is just extremely crowded. Last year, I think they started finally capping tickets because before then they just didn't cap tickets at all, and it was a complete
Mess.
mess. Now they at least are capping tickets, so it's only very crowded as opposed to ridiculously crowded.
Yes.
It helped a little bit. It's still, there are just some areas that are hard to access, and somebody like me for whom like crowds can overwhelm me pretty quickly. And like there's a limited amount of times I can be in a crowd before I get overwhelmed. Just part of why we didn't stay terribly long.
Yes.
It's just kind of a hard space to be in, and it's also frustrating because that makes like doing some of the activities there a little bit difficult. Like shopping there is almost next to impossible if you're somebody who actually like doesn't just want to buy something they immediately see, but like look at it for a minute. Like it's really hard to do that, which is hard because most of these are artisanal goods, and I want a minute to like look at them, and I just feel kind of pushed or shoved.
Yeah, and a lot of them are a little expensive. Like again, I was idly looking at some of the swords, and like, you know, but if I'd chosen to buy one, that would have been like $300-400, and like, I didn't particularly want to, but like, I would have needed a lot longer to think about a purchase of that sale than I would. Than I think I was afforded the opportunity to, just by again how busy it is.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of hard, and basically like the only way to really shop is to do it very early or very late in the day when there aren't very many people there.
Yeah.
And because that's like half of what there is to do, it kind of makes it hard to do with crowds. Like there's this dress shop there that I like looking at, and has some like cool corseted pieces and stuff like that. And we went there early today, but even with that, it's like something like that, particularly because it's an artisanal piece that you're going to be spending $300 on, you really do have to try it on.
Yeah.
And there's just not a way to do that.
Yeah, you can. They do have a changing room, but it's like, it's a small changing room in a like, you know, store that's about to get real busy. Like we basically made a beeline for this particular store because we know we wanted to have a look in it. And you know, because we got in what, 20 minutes after they opened?
20 minutes after they opened. We were in line, I think, right round when they started opening at 10, but it took about 15 to 20 minutes to get through the line to get in, which is
10:30 is when they opened.
Yeah, which I will say, like in terms of the amount of people, was about as efficient as it could have been.
Yeah, like again, they were once you got to the front gate, they were moving. Like,
yes. And I will say, gate to get in, because we kind of have done this out of order this episode, which is fine, but we. Tickets are a QR code. You scan the QR code, you get in. We purposely didn't get there right when it opened because we did that a couple years ago.
And that was a mistake.
Yeah, because then there's just a bunch of people crowded around the entrance while they put on this, like, I'm sure charming, but not what I'm in the mood for, opening show of people.
They do a little like fanfare to open it up kind of thing, which is fine. It's cute. But if you just want to get inside and like you're feeling badly overwhelmed by the crowd,
I can't stand in crowds of people with people in front of and behind me. That's just too much for me.
Yeah.
So we purposely avoided that this year, which we've done the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Which again, it's fine. But this year we got there by the time we got through the line, it was about 20 minutes after it opened, and we like there was basically no queue. They had all the registrations open.
Yeah, I think at that point we got into a line behind people, and I think there was a group of like, I think it was one group of 4, or it might have been a couple of groups of 2 in front of us, like, and they moved pretty quickly and efficiently. Like, I do want to credit the staff for just how quickly and effectively they got everybody through the gates.
Quickly through the gates, and everyone who's working that car park, because there's a bunch of people directing you on where to go in this very large car park that doesn't have spots. It's a field. Those people are working gangbusters. That's not an easy job. I hope they're at least getting paid for that.
Yes. If they're volunteers, I have problems.
Yeah.
Because this event definitely brings it back. But yeah, so again, that was efficiently run. I have no real complaints about that. So we got there, we headed in. Are we on to chronological now?
I think basically. So we talked a little bit about how we made the beeline for the dress shop.
Yeah. which was at least in part to just get us out of the bulk of the crowd.
Because most of them were at the time because it had just opened effectively nearby the entrance. So we tried to go to the back and then work our way up.
Yeah, we kind of cut across the circle and then sort of picked a direction and went that way. But we went that way specifically because we kind of knew we were heading to that dress shop.
So we went in there. Both dressing rooms were already occupied. I saw a couple stuff that was cute, but not anything I wanted to go through the trouble of trying to purchase.
Yes, which is kind of the problem with this event for us. So after that, we kind of continued round.
You looked at some swords.
I briefly looked at some swords, which were weighted horribly. I'm not going to criticize.
You already have criticized.
Again, part of the issue was it was unclear if they were display grade or reenactment grade. Which, for anybody who's unfamiliar, display grade means hang it on a wall and it'll look pretty. Reenactment grade means you can use it to hit people with, but it's blunt.
Yeah.
Sharps are exactly what they sound like. They are basically made to be lethal weapons. You only really buy a sharp these days if you're planning on using it for cutting drills and that kind of stuff. I'd never owned a sharp. I've held them and used them for fun a couple of times, but they've never been one that I personally owned.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
I love you.
I can talk about HEMA when we're at a Ren fair. It's relevant.
That is relevant. That was informative. I just don't have anything to add to that, but it is good.
That's fine.
I will say this kind of operates on what I call the state fair principle, because at state fairs, you don't really go to attend events, and when you do attend events and shows, it's mostly just because you happen to be walking by them. Ren fairs are the same way. There's technically a schedule, but for the most part, you just kind of walk by shows and then kind of go to them when they start.
Yeah, that was kind of... So the first year we did this, I think our mistake was trying to do it like a normal convention, in that we had a plan of the different shows we were going to go to at the different times. And we quickly realized that, okay, this is probably going to be a statement that annoys people. All Ren Fair shows are basically the same.
Yeah. We didn't go really to any. We walked past them, but it's all the same type of humor. The exact thing they're doing varies between acrobatics to singing to magic to axe throwing to comedy. But everyone at a Ren Fair has a very similar, boisterous, eccentric crowd personality, and you're just kind of watching that personality over and over again. And that's not to disrespect any of the carnival workers who work there. I'm sure you're having a blast. You all have amazing theater kid energy. But it does mean just kind of as an adult, you see one and you're kind of done with it.
Yeah.
Or at least I am.
And again, while we were there, I was coming to you that I think the issue is just you and I like specifics. And we know exactly the kind of thing we like. Ren fairs are very much intended to be mass entertainment, and like all mass entertainment, that means they have to be broad enough to appeal to anybody, which means I highly doubt any Ren Fair show is somebody's favorite thing, is the best way to describe it. Like, I don't think very many people go to a Ren Fair, see a show, and hate it, but I also don't think, like, you and I have had experiences at conventions that we have literally been talking about a year later.
Yeah.
I doubt anybody's doing that with a show they saw at a Ren Fair. And I'm sorry if you're a Ren Fair person and that offended you.
Unless it's one of the Hawk shows, just because the Hawks are kind of well known.
You mean for being absolute menaces that don't obey their trainers?
Yeah, like when the Hawk runs off to eat nachos, which happens at more than one Ren Fair.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that happens, where the bird just discovers there's a food stand in the back, and then they, like, take the bird away, and then they bring it out the next show, and they realize the bird has now learned that there's a food stand in the back, and all it's going to do is fly to that food stand.
Yep. Again, that's the classic, what did you accidentally train your pet to do situation.
Yep.
But yeah, so again, like, it's not bad, it's just, it just is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and they also have, like, a lot of booths, so there's the traditional carnival game type stuff. A few kind of unique things that I noticed this year that seem to be getting more and more unique. Like, there's a booth where you can just pay to complain, where all the proceeds go to charity.
I did not notice that one, but...
we were walking past it, and there's a few other, like, tomato-y type things. You can pay to, like, try to defeat somebody at, like, a Boffalarp type sword fight. A few other types of things like that.
throw Rotten Tomatoes at the guy in the stocks kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where I'm hoping the guy in the stocks agreed to be there.
I'm assuming so. They were probably somebody who works there.
A bunch of the standard things, like knife throwing, archery,
Mm-hmm.
The usual kind of stuff.
They did, since we're walking back there, for the past 2 years, they've opened up the back area, so they've expanded it slightly to include this kind of meadowy area that tends to have a little bit less traffic. It still has stuff in it, it's just less full than the kind of main fair.
Yeah. But yeah, so we kind of, we walked around, we saw some stuff, we looked at some stalls, and again, you're going to see a decent variety of stalls. Like, there's going to be a lot of clothing stalls. We went into one that was like medieval style cloaks. A lot of leather workers, that kind of thing. There was a kilt store, which, incidentally, if you're English, don't try and wear a kilt. It will catch on fire and scorch your. That's just because you're English. Don't worry about it. That's normal.
There was a wedding. You can pay to have your wedding here. I looked into it because I think the first time we went was around the time we were getting married.
Yep.
Yeah, not quite for us, as you can tell by this event, but it's actually a fairly reasonable wedding package. It's less than $1,000 from what I remember, and it includes like everything there. And it's a fun event, so
yep.
I'm pretty sure everyone has to pay for tickets to like get eaten. But other than that,
yep. And again, like once you've done your wedding ceremony, you can just kind of hang out at the Ren Fair. And again, if that's what you want to do, great, have fun with it.
And you'll have a bunch of Ren Fair performers like running the ceremony, so you're gonna have a great time.
Yeah.
I also saw somebody who we met last year at the Ren Fair. So last year I was wearing my butterfly costume dress. Because it's another shorter one I can wear out in public, and I think I'd just gotten it at that point. It's like one of my favorites. Still is. And I was like, is this appropriate for a Ren Fair? I'm basically just dressed as a butterfly.
And then we bumped into somebody else who was basically just dressed as a butterfly.
Who was one of the con people who...
Yep.
Or the festival people who...
They gave you a butterfly charm, didn't they?
They gave me a butterfly charm and was just like, keep this on our migration south. We role played a little bit as butterflies, which was very cute. We saw her again. I didn't say hi to her this time because I was not dressed as a butterfly this year, but that was one of my favorite interactions from last year. And I will say that is the magic of Ren Fairs, is when you can have those kind of like small one-on-one interactions with people.
Yep. And one of the things about it being the Time Travelers weekend was we saw a lot of I saw multiple doctors from Doctor Who, a couple of people dressed in vault suits from Fallout, a few people in Starfleet costumes and that kind of stuff. Again, it's fun for that kind of thing. And as we said, it's a fantasy.
Yeah. And it's meant to be that. We saw a cute sign that says Time Travelers meeting has been moved to last Wednesday.
Yep.
And somebody shouted that out to us, which was very cute.
Yeah, somebody saw the fact that we were wearing slightly steampunky clothes and was like, yeah, the Time Travelers meeting's been moved. And we were mildly confused for a second and worried that there was that they thought we were trying to attend an event.
Yeah.
And then we saw the sign and we're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
It's cute.
Funny. But yeah. So we didn't actually attend any of the shows on this one, did we?
No, we walked past a bunch.
Yeah.
We just didn't really feel one, it was hot, it's crowded, I just didn't have the patience for shows today, and I knew there was going to be a limited amount of time. So I think our goal was just basically to see everything. It's worth emphasizing we really did not stay that long. No, I wasn't expecting us to, though.
Hour and a half, somewhere in the ballpark.
People were we're definitely one of the first people there who left, which is not clearly other people were having fun. So
yeah,
it's not that we weren't. It's just that for us, particularly with my disability, it's just this event just has a time clock.
Yeah,
I can only be there for so long before I start to get overwhelmed. So
yeah. Which again, is not on the event itself. It's just
kind of frustrating because as somebody who has issues like that with crowding and claustrophobia, this event just really isn't that accessible to me.
Yeah.
Because they only have it open on the weekends and only for pretty limited periods of time. I can't pick another time that's more convenient for me to go.
Yeah, you can't really go on a quiet day because there
aren't any.
Yeah.
Even if it was pouring rain, it probably wouldn't be quiet.
Yeah. And for the record, today the weather is a little on the warm side, but otherwise very nice.
Yeah. But it's hard for me to be outside that long with that many people, and it just I knew we were kind of limited by the time we got there.
Yeah.
So which is not on the event. Not everyone has that problem, but I do kind of wish, because a lot of people, regardless of whether they're neurotypical, neurodivergent, neuro anywhere they want to be, neurospicy, have problems with crowds and claustrophobia, and it'd be nice to have options for people who have that.
Yeah.
I have been told, because we've never gone late in the day, that if you go like 4 to 7, it's definitely less crowded, but that's also hard. So
Yeah. Especially because this one is a 2-hour drive
Yeah.
for us. Yeah, which does mean that, like, again, if we went 4 till 7, we wouldn't be getting home till like 9 or 10. Yeah, which is just, that's a long day. You know, especially since, you know, we've now got bunnies.
Yeah.
And if one of them did, like, one of them made us worry last week.
We're new parents to bunnies, I want to emphasize.
Yeah, new bunny parents.
But like any new parent to any species of animal, like, you know, you're going to panic over every little thing they do, which I think we just kind of did.
Yeah. But again, they're fine now. But yeah, so again, it was one of those situations where, like, again, now we're actually passing it now. So yeah.
Yeah, we went to Cincinnati afterwards, where it's just kind of overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
They also have like carnival rides that are like very medieval looking. So they have like carousels, but they're all like run by hands and cranks, which is fun to at least look at.
Oh yeah. You know, and like various things like, you know, Punch and Judy shows, and like, again, they've got a lot of varieties of stuff. It's just none of that stuff is stuff that appeals specifically to us.
Yeah. And not all events have to. And I think, as you've mentioned, this is just kind of meant to be very common entertainment. That's not a criticism. It's just meant to appeal to a wide breadth of people.
Yeah. Well, traffic going to and from it's looking dodgy.
I'm not surprised. But probably a bunch of people are leaving now, too.
Yeah.
There's cops and stuff out there to direct traffic.
Yep. Yeah, I suspect that is people who are all leaving the rent there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very much like, again, it's very much middle of the road entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had a perfectly pleasant time. I'm perfect. Like, whereas with a lot of conventions we get that hankering to go to another one immediately, I don't get that with this.
Yeah.
Like we could come back like next weekend if we wanted to. We're not going to.
It feels a little bit overpriced for the amount of entertainment we're getting out of it. I think it is probably worth it if you are spending the full day there, but it's just kind of not up for us.
Yeah, and like food prices actually did not look too awful. Like I was assuming they would be a lot worse than they were. You know, like one of the stalls, for example, this is just the specific example I can remember, was doing like, you know, chicken tenders and fries for $9. That's, for con prices, that's not bad.
And you can have a lot of cute interactions with people. I do say sometimes that, because a lot of these are very carnival atmosphere, it's like a lot of people like calling at you to be or do something at their booth or something like that, and it's for somebody who doesn't like that type of salesmanship, a little bit uncomfortable occasionally.
Yeah, like the interaction you had at the jewelry store.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things we did as we were walking around was there's a jewelry store I looked at last year and this year that has a bunch of fun costume pieces that are, I would say, for what they are, fairly reasonably priced. Like, most of it's under $100, which is for jewelry, and it is costume jewelry, so it's not real or anything in terms of jewels, but it is very elaborate.
Yeah, very big and fun, and,
Yeah.
you know, a bit silly.
So yeah, having those prices, because jewelry is one of those things that I do need to, dresses and other pieces I wear, I typically don't need to buy in person, because I have a good understanding of how they're going to look on my body. It's somebody who works a lot with clothing and costume as a medium, I can tell pretty quickly. You can't. It's great.
Again, there have been multiple occasions where you've shown me something online and I've been very unsure about it, and then you bought it and you'll put it on and I'm, oh, okay, no, now I get it.
Yeah. Also, that's another fun thing about Ren Fairs, particularly today, is because a lot of my clothing, I guess, goes into Ren Fair type categories or stuff people would wear to Ren Fairs. I could recognize where a bunch of people bought their stuff today, which you were amused by.
Yeah, I am amused by the fact I can, you know, we can walk past something like, oh, it's similar to something you own. And you can immediately like, yeah, they got it here, 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 or here. You know, they probably paid about this much for it. And I'm like, ow.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I wear has knockoff versions of it. I want to emphasize I don't judge anyone for wearing knockoff versions of clothes. Like, you should buy what you can afford and what you feel good in for different prices. I can just tell the variances between them because I'm deciding if I'm going to buy real or something that like is a slight variant on it, I know the differences between like the seams, what they use, what would be on different websites at once. So, but again, everyone should just wear what they feel good in. I don't judge anyone for buying stuff that is cheaper because that's what they want a thing and that's the way they can afford the thing.
Yeah. And
But
yeah, like you have things that are arguably knockoffs.
yes, some of them are at least cheaper and some of them are like similar designers because designers are influenced by other designers just happen to come up with a similar idea at a similar time.
Yeah.
Like Starry Night based dresses, a bunch of different companies came out with those at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of debate over who was the first. I'm not going to even touch that one.
Yeah.
It's mostly just Starry Night was a print of fabric that became available at a certain time, and because anyone can purchase that fabric print, a bunch of different companies started using it. Anyway, back to the jewelry store.
Yes.
So we went to look at this jewelry stand, and the person who was outside of it, like, and a couple different people at the jewelry store did this where they kept picking out necklaces and insisting I hold them up to my neck, which I did not want to do.
Yes.
Like, I did it to humor them, but it's just like I don't shop that way. I will let you know when I want to try a piece on. I don't really like want to be sold to in that way.
The second one at least like vaguely matched what you were wearing.
Yeah.
The first one just didn't.
Yeah, the first one was like not. It was silver. It was gold rather than silver, and you know, if you're an old school jewelry nerd, you know that most people have one that they like versus the other. Plenty of people mix metals these days. That's also fine. But
yeah, like generally speaking, for a backing, you prefer silver.
Yes, that's true for a lot of different people. And that was a gold backing, which I already knew I didn't want, and did, in fairness, like look good, but like it wasn't matched to my outfit. It wasn't to my taste, and I just it felt weird.
Yep.
Especially when we were blatantly looking at necklaces that were, because my dress is blue, so we're looking at blue necklaces, and they were like, try this green and like topaz one over there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you having me put this one on? It doesn't match at all. And this was another circumstance where, like, I really do like that stall a lot, and like, if it was quieter, I would probably buy something from them. But it's just, it's too busy to function.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, it forces you to make snap decisions in a way that we don't like when we're buying stuff.
Yeah.
Like again, to go back to the sword stand for a minute, like the last time I bought a sword in person was a decade ago, and that was at a small reenactors fair in the UK. And I spent about 20 minutes at that specific stall testing multiple different swords to find one that I thought matched me. In my fencing style and like various other things, and like I tried one. I was like, and I joke that it was basically my version of the the Ollivander scene from the first Harry Potter book, where it's just like you try a bunch and then you find the one and you pick it up and go, ooh, yes, and that's basically what happened. Whereas at this event, I don't think I would be able to do that because there'd be like 20 people trying to get past me to like try things themselves, which just puts pressure on you to make a decision quickly in a way I don't want to do when I'm spending that much money.
Yeah, especially because, as you pointed out, most stuff at Ren fairs is artisanal stuff, and because it's artisanal, it's going to be more expensive as it should be because it's made by a person.
Yeah.
Well, all clothes is technically made by a person. Clothing factories don't exist. The only thing that you can actually do by machine is embroidery, and even that you need a person running the machine. Anyway, but it's clothing that's hand stitched, one of a kind, more unique, and made with fair trade labor in the United States.
Yeah.
Which is good, but it does mean you need to inspect it in detail to make sure it's what you want, because it's going to be $300 or more.
Yeah.
And that's a reasonable price, but you want to. I do want to emphasize not necessarily all stands have this problem. Samaya's clothing, a stand we went to last year, I think just because it was more out of the way. Mm-hmm. They had this really amazing coat last year.
Yeah. That we strongly considered getting for you. We just couldn't justify the price because it was expensive. I do firmly believe it was worth that much money. We just couldn't justify spending that much money.
But the merchants were very nice there. We walked past the stand twice looking at the coat that was just kind of out there. It was by far my favorite thing. It was in my size. For those of you who met me, I'm pretty petite, so most coats tend to overwhelm my body a lot. That was just made for me, to the point where like the people running the stand and just multiple other people who were just walking by the stand took pictures of me in it.
Yep. Yeah, when you tried it on.
Yeah, I think we have a picture with me on
We do.
yeah. And had it been even half that price, which still would have been probably more than we would have paid for any other clothing, I think we would have bought it. But,
Yeah. But again, it was just like it was fabulously made. Like it would. I do not begrudge them wanting as much money for it as they did.
No.
It's just we weren't in a position to be able to spend that much money.
No. But that was a nice experience because that person was like incredibly respectful. Like they got what it was a lot of the time, and like a lot of artists, they understand that like plenty of people are going to admire their wares who can't quite afford them at the moment, and that was the type of store that was like that.
Yeah. Again, it was an interaction that was similar to when we were at Key City a few weeks ago and we bought the whimsy coat that you're wearing today.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, that was an interaction where like she waited until you were clearly like looking at a specific thing that you were interested in. She asked if you were interested in trying it on.
Mm-hmm.
You tried it on, and she kind of looked at it and basically went, "Okay, that fits you pretty well. If you want it, I can make it fit you perfectly." Just by like, all she did was make it so that you could like tighten it up by adding a few more buttons onto it. But like, it was relatively simple modification work for her, and she wanted to make sure that you would have an item that fit you perfectly.
Which it does. It looks tailored.
It looks like this is the first time you've worn it, and it looks great.
Yeah, I love it. And the coat would have had that same type of look if we bought it. But the point is, like, because that's like the experience you want when you're buying artisanal goods, especially when you can like talk to the vendor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in both of those cases, vendor was entirely respectful. It's just that like the Ren Fair atmosphere, which has a lot of artisanal goods for sale, kind of ruins that buying experience.
Yeah.
When that buying experience is kind of part of what makes artisanal goods like so great to buy.
Yeah. Like again, that whimsy coat experience of her looking at it and going, "It looks really good on you. I can make it look perfect on you," is one of the great things about artisanal goods.
But it's something for which at the Ren Fair, it's a lot of people just kind of hawking stuff or pointing out whatever to kind of sell stuff quickly to get people in and out of the shop quickly, and that kind of
because there's just so many people trying to like go through as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm. And I will say the dress place we went to earlier, the people who were actually in the dressing room trying on dresses, the staff was helping and trying to give that experience too.
They were, but again, I'm also aware of the fact that like later in the day, they were going to be so absolutely heaving that like, actually looking at something for any extended period of time would have been very, very difficult. Like we know that from experience in the past.
I think that's part of why we love Steampunk Con so much, is because they don't obviously have that many vendors at them. They are smaller, but the vendors they have are all artisanal vendors for the most part who you can have those interactions with. And that's just one of those things I think also with artisanal goods is it's just, for the most part, buying them off the internet just doesn't work. Like it can work if it's a company you already know and a person whose quality you trust, but you really do need to, for the most part with artisanal products, be able to like feel, look, and touch them like in person to make sure that they're what they want.
Yeah. Whereas you're frequently not going to know that unless you can see the stuff in person. And because just of how many people are at this event, it's kind of impossible to have that experience.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, if you like a like really crowded event, if you like feeling like part of that big group, party atmosphere, I think you'll have fun at a Ren Fair like this one.
Definitely immersive. I would definitely call it that. Like everyone's in costume, they're dressed up in a bunch of different things. It really does feel like you're in a medieval fantasy while you're there.
Yes.
Like, it does.
And again, medieval fantasy.
Yeah.
Don't complain about it not being historically accurate.
Yeah, none of that takes me out. Like, if anything, like all the fantastical costumes and kids dressed as fairies and people in like fawn things, like that just honestly adds to the magic for me.
Yeah. Whereas again, I know some people will complain about that stuff, but like that's seeing people have that kind of fun is just something I very much enjoy. Just like let people have fun. So, yeah. So what did we do after that? We kind of like turned around, walked back in the other direction. Saw a bunch of other stalls. That's kind of what we did.
Yeah, we weren't there terribly long. We were there maybe an hour, hour and a half, which I realize seems very short for Ren Fair, but we weren't really interested in seeing the shows.
Yeah.
Bunch of shows going on, mud show where they throw mud at each other. This one had a wash show where I guess they wash things. I was a bit unclear. We walked past that one.
We did.
A couple shows with people on stilts, kids puppet show with
Yeah.
a very uninterested baby being forced to watch it that we walked past.
Yeah, that was so. Punch and Judy, if you're not familiar, is a classic like British children's entertainment thing. It's deeply, deeply problematic because Punch is aggressively abusive to his wife, Judy. I mean, to be fair, Judy also frequently gives as good as she gets, but like their relationship is
I
bad.
thought it was mostly just people hitting each other with sticks.
Yeah, it's Punch and Judy hitting each other with sticks. They're meant to be a married couple.
No, we do that sometimes.
Yeah, but that's in a very specific context.
That is true. That joke went over people's heads. It's fine.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had I think, version of that was a puppet show for mostly kids. The kids, I will say, like, it seemed funny enough. Most of the kids watching it, I think, just were not interested in it, which was just kind of cute.
Yeah. Which again, like, it was one of the early events. You know, and again, like, frequently, if you're performing at a rent fair like this, you're probably going to be doing 2 to 3 shows a day.
Yep.
And that's if you're not doing multiple different events, which a lot of them are.
Some sword demonstration shows. I'm sure there's probably some fire breathing somewhere.
Yeah, I did see a stage setup for like flame-based stuff.
Somebody doing that weird like circle thing where you get on the circle and you ride the circle to like a top of a. I don't know how to describe
Circle
it.
of Death.
Yeah, that thing.
Yep.
There's jousting, which we were like. I think we could go to the Ren for like 20 times and never go to jousting.
Yeah.
Not because it's bad, just because it's going to be extremely popular and I don't care.
Yeah. I've seen jousting. Jousting can be fun, but I don't feel like dealing with the crowd.
So a lot of cute kids running around.
Yep. You know, a couple of service dogs.
There's beer tasting you can do, which we didn't do. There's singing stuff you can do.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is there are, in addition to the general admittance tickets, there are like special events you can pay more money to go to. So there's like a bar crawl and you know, various other things. Like, and this stuff was popular. Like when I bought our tickets yesterday, I don't know how many general admittance they had left, but like I didn't have any problems getting them. But like most of the specific stuff, like that bar crawl and a beer tasting and a wine tasting and various other stuff, that was mostly sold out.
Yeah.
And the one thing I will say about this event is you are going to be paying extra for most of the stuff.
Yeah. There's a few stuff, like, there are quests that you can do around, but, like, other that has to happen organically when you're, like, role-playing with one of the character actors that's around the venue, who, again, tend to focus on kids, which is fine.
Yeah.
There's also, I saw a little booth labeled quests that we walked past, where you could, like, maybe get a quest. We've done these at various cons before. They tend to be kind of, you know...
They'll frequently go to specific vendor and, like...
Yeah. Like, it's cute. It's just kind of like, I don't know. There's a Sisyphean quality to it that once you get past a certain age, just I don't think amuses me anymore.
Yeah.
Like I have to, like, you know me, I have to like either go entirely into something or not at all. So half doing anything is just going to bother me.
Yeah, I keep pointing out that like you don't know how to half-ass anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the stuff that you should be half-assing, you go all in on.
Like what?
The stupid joke prizes for your students.
Oh yeah.
Where we just bought a bunch of stuff at Jungle Gyms to be like, it's deliberately the stupidest stuff we could find to be comedy prizes. Because you, as you pointed out, like you don't want it to be anything they actually want, so that they'll compete over. You just want it to be funny enough that it will amuse them.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, what you should do, because we were joking about for one of them, putting a towel over it for like a reveal, you should just get like a paper towel from the bathroom so you can still see what it is.
Ta-da!
Even though you can see it.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Sorry, we should not be talking about torturing my students on this podcast.
No, but again, like...
So yeah, that's cute. They also, their website indicates that they have some stuff, and this is, again, the reality of like Ren Fair / State Fair / whatever other fair type rules is just like the stuff I think technically exists, but you just kind of have to find it organically. So one of the things they also have is like trinket trading, where you can bring in trinkets and like trade them with like people around the fair for other types of trinkets a lot of the time.
Yep.
And mostly aimed at kids, and also stuff you just kind of have to find organically. So, and the things that we remember from these events do tend to be those smaller, more organic moments. Like we still remember the stuff with the coat and the stuff with the monarch butterfly from last year because those were small, organic moments.
Yeah. Whereas again, like as I said, I do not feel like I'm gonna like remember any of the specific like. I vaguely remember the mud show from 2 years ago,
Yeah.
but the main reason I remember that is that like
We were sitting out of the splash zone. They had a designated splash. It's a mud show. There's mud flying everywhere. Like it's people throwing mud around. I was expecting there to be more to it than that. There was not. It was mostly just people throwing mud.
yeah,
Like that was it.
yeah,
That's pretty much it. There's no plot.
yeah.
It's
They
just
were
people
nominally
throwing mud.
performing a specific play,
It was
but like
Beowulf.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, this could be Shakespeare with mud. So I thought it was going to be like smart comedy. It was not smart comedy. It was
no,
just
mud.
mud.
But like yeah, I remember the fact that we got a bit freaked out because like you were wearing a pretty expensive dress.
Yeah.
We very deliberately sat quite far back and well out of the splash zone. I still got hit with some mud.
I did too. On my I was wearing a coat because it was actually weirdly cold that day over my dress.
Yep.
Because we were at the time in Ohio where it's either summer or it's winter.
Yep.
So I was wearing a coat over my costume because even though I think we went pretty much the exact same time, since we always go late September, early October.
Yep.
It got some mud on it. Thankfully, not on my dress, just my coat. And it is mud; it washes off. But not all clothes you can put water on. And it's a Ren fair. A lot of people are going to be wearing expensive stuff, and we just kind of left that.
Yeah. So like I don't remember a thing about the show other than the fact that like we ended up tapping because we were well outside the splash zone and still getting splashed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's mostly just like the Ren Fair is aggressively okay.
Like my thing with it is like if it was less crowded, like if it had half the amount of people, I probably would happily spend a day there.
Yeah.
It's just because it's crowded and because like everything in it in terms of entertainment for us is just kind of mediocre. It just doesn't hold our attention for that long. We kind of just want to leave.
Yeah.
Which is not to say it's bad. I just think you would like it a lot. And if you had kids, it would be great. Because for kids, like that level of humor actually is about the right level of humor for kids.
Yep.
And it's kind of, I think, like Panto.
Yeah.
In a way where it's like all the shows are basically the same in the same way like Panto, if you want to explain that in the UK, is the same.
Yeah, so pantomime in the UK is effectively children's theatre. It traditionally gets done around Christmas. And like the actual pantomime you're going to see doesn't really matter. Like they're frequently based on like popular stories. Like so when we were in the UK last year, we went to go see The Little Mermaid in Panto. Ariel was barely a character in that Panto because like mostly it's a bunch of slapstick and it's a bunch of like that kind of stuff with the vague semblance of a plot happening somewhere in there. And that's true basically regardless of what the story is. That's fine. Like, Panto is a lot of fun. You had fun of it.
I did. But it's also something for which, as an adult, we wouldn't watch like 6 Panto shows in one day and still be entertained by them.
Yeah.
Whereas that's effectively what a Ren Fair is just like kind of all of the shows are effectively Panto. They use the same type of humor, the same type of style. And if you're an adult, like there's only so much of that you can really take before you realize it's all the same thing. Whereas I think as a kid, they view each Panto as like a different thing, even though it's the same jokes.
Yeah. Yeah, similar kind of vibe, and just again, nothing at all wrong with any of it. That's the specific criticisms we have basically amount to it's too crowded an event for us to enjoy, which is why we left as early as we did. And like, so there are about 5 or 6 different like gates, quote unquote, at that main entrance, and early in the day they are all entryways. One of them later in the day transitions to be an exit, and late in the day they basically all transition to be exits. We left early enough that they were still all in their entrance mode, and the person was very confused by the fact we wanted to leave that early.
Yeah. Which, in fairness, I get that most people like expect more from a Ren fair, but it's just there's only so long I can be in a crowd like that, especially when like I don't like being outside generally, but like I like doing walks and stuff with you or like nature hikes and stuff like that. But like as a person with a disability, I think part of the reason I like that is just because it's entirely under my control when we go back inside.
Yeah.
So it just feels less pressury. Whereas like for events that are outdoors, I feel like obligated to stay outside to have fun, and I don't like feeling obligated to stay outside to have fun. Probably it's childhood trauma around gym. But other people I don't think feel that as much a lot of the time. So.
Yeah.
That said, we're doing an outdoor event next weekend too, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, next weekend's kind of indoor/outdoor, isn't it?
Oh, there's some calves. Those ones are little bitty.
Aw,
They're so cute.
they are.
Yeah, for reference, if you haven't figured this out, we record this in our car.
With hands-free lapel mics.
Yes.
It's fine. So, yeah. Yep. Salute the sign.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm not going to explain that one.
Nope. I'm just going to say salute the sign, and we're going to keep driving.
Now, people who know what this road is know what we mean.
Yep.
There are multiple billboards on this highway that when we say salute, we do mean ironically.
Yep. But anyway.
Or a very impolite salute, at least.
So, anywho. So, yeah, so at which point we basically went back to the car, got on the road, and getting out of this particular Ren fair is a bit of a pain in the neck.
Mm-hmm.
At least in part because there was still a stream of traffic coming into it.
It was actually pretty easy though. We just went up there, we turned, and like there was a thing on the way out, so it was fine.
Yeah. But you do have to take a slightly backroadsy way out.
And yeah, they were already onto overflow parking by noon. Was the time we got there. So.
Yeah, because we left at what, like 12:30?
Yeah. I will say again, I admire the dedication to costuming. There were a lot of fantastic costumes we saw today.
Oh yeah.
For outdoor weather and like kind of hot. And no plumbing. Yeah, those costumes were more than I could do. So congratulations.
Yeah. And again, like that's the thing. Like the people who go to Ren fairs clearly have a lot of fun going to them. It's just.
I think we've been spoiled by cons.
Yeah, basically.
Where cons are Ren fairs, except better for the most part for what we personally like to do.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think is superior at the Ren fair is again the vendors there are, I think, a higher quality than we typically see at a con space. But then you run into the problem again of like it's hard to buy stuff from artisanal vendors if you can't like sit down and actually like take time to make a purchase. And this is the other kind of thing with it is just we've gone to a couple smaller Ren fairs in Ohio that are effectively this but smaller, and I tend to like. I actually think I do like those a little bit more in terms of what they are because they're cheaper, they're less expensive, and less crowded.
I would agree, but at the same time, there's also tends to be a lot less to see out there.
Yeah, so it's just kind of one of those either or things. I really do just wish this was like open on a Friday or something like that to give people like a less crowded option if they want it.
Yep. Yeah, because it's basically only open Saturdays and Sundays, it's always heaving. Like, they actually have to have cops directing the traffic into it. Just because otherwise the highway becomes an absolute mess. I hope this cloud of smoke is supposed to be here. Oh, it's not smoke. Okay, that makes sense.
I'm just harvesting some stuff.
Yep. So they're just kicking up dust. That's fine.
Is there anything else to say about this event?
I don't think so. Like, we didn't do enough to do Top Con moments.
No, this is a shorter event. We should be able to have Top Con moments next weekend, though.
Yes, next weekend's going to be an interesting one.
Yep.
Because we were initially thinking about doing Con on the Cob.
Which we might still do a day or two of. I also got tickets to Furry. So Furries do a lot of camp events. This one's kind of a camp event that does have indoor plumbing, which appealed to me, though. So we're going to maybe try that also.
Yep.
So we'll have some variation of those two events.
Yes. So, yeah. So, standard question, would we go back to this?
It's for like 6 or 8 weeks in Ohio. I have a feeling we're probably just going to wind up going back to it, but it's not going to be something that we go back to because we particularly want to.
Yeah, it's mostly going to be one of those things that we're like, well,
There's nothing else to do this weekend.
yeah, we can use it as a chance to go to Cincinnati because again, like we after the after we went to the Ren Fair, we drove down the rest of the way down to Cincinnati, went to Jungle Jim's International Market,
Went to a restaurant we really like.
yep, and then like got on the road home. And, like, if we hadn't done those other things today would have been a bit of a
Yeah.
a bit of a wash, bit of a disappointment. But like, we wanted to go to Jungle Gyms and get some more stuff, and while we were there, we were undecided if we were going to go to the restaurant.
This is irrelevant to con reviewing.
No, it's not.
Okay.
This is completely relevant.
Okay.
But like, because we had the time, it made sense. And like, I think the first time we went to this con, we actually like went from it to go to that restaurant.
Yeah, we did.
And I think that was one of the first times we went to the Cincinnati branch, wasn't it?
It was not the first time we went because we went when I had a conference down in Cincinnati that one time. That was before then. But
Yeah, we did.
it was definitely one of the times where we were starting to explore Cincinnati more as a city. I think we did actually. I can't remember if we went to the American Sign Museum then yet or not. Do we know that existed then?
I don't recall.
Anyway,
But either way,
the event is aggressively fine. I do think if it's something you love, you absolutely should go. It's just not quite for us as like a thing that is. I think we really look forward to every year. Let's put it that way.
yeah, it's the thing we do on a quiet weekend when we've got nothing we'd rather do.
Mm-hmm. Please don't crash the car.
I'm not going to crash the car. That guy was just slightly too far to the right.
No, he wasn't. You just kind of are paranoid. I love you.
I love you too. But yeah, so again, like it was.
Okay, now I agree. It's too far away.
Thank you. Again, we're also driving through roadworks, which means like everybody's a bit cramped together. But yeah. So yeah, overall, it's a perfectly fine event. Like, if we could go on a quiet weekend, we'd have a lot more fun.
Yeah. Like, I really do think I would enjoy it if it had about half the people and I actually could stay there for more than an hour without immediately getting overwhelmed and could, like, actually shop.
Yeah.
And, like, enjoy the shows, not because, like, I can't be in a crowd, or, like, without them being, like, heaving and crowded a bunch.
Yeah. But again, it's not the most accessible of events. I think it's the best way to describe that.
And not quite to our interest or taste, so.
And again, not everything has to be.
Yeah.
But again, like, the thing is, and I do want to emphasize this, it's not that we didn't enjoy ourselves, it's just that we would enjoy ourselves a lot more at something else.
Yeah. And I will admit, I kind of don't, like I was commenting to you, I really don't get why it's as popular as it is. Like, it does just kind of surprise me that Ren fairs are this popular these days.
I do sort of know what you mean. Like, again, it's very much one of those, well, as I said, it's very middle of the road, family friendly entertainment.
Well, that's like the thing that I do notice with, like, because we talk about this a decent chunk, I guess, on this podcast of, like, we go to pretty much any con.
Yeah.
Like, because we know it doesn't really matter if we actually like the thing that the con is about, we will still have fun there.
Yep.
And I feel like that message hasn't been given enough to the general populace sometimes, where, like, for the most part, even if you're not into anime, you can have a blast at an anime con.
Yeah.
You do every week. Whereas other people just don't seem to realize that, so they just, I think, go to Ren fairs because they don't realize they can have similar amounts of fun at cons. That's at least my theory.
Yep. But again, at the same time, like, you can't really have like 2/3 of the population going, 2/3 of the people attending an anime con not be anime fans without actually diluting the experience of what the con is supposed to be about.
That's fair.
Whereas, at a Renaissance fair, like, again, they're not actually celebrating anything specific other than a vague, like, old-timey vibe. Which means that, like, you can have plenty of people turn up in, like, sci-fi costumes or various other
Are
things.
you implying we should feel guilty for attending anime cons even though we don't like anime?
No. I'm saying if, like, everybody there was like us, at what point does it stop being an anime con?
That's fair. as opposed to a general fandom con.
Yeah.
Those tend to do numbers, but again, those do numbers because of celebrities. But like, I would just like to see a general pop culture con just be popular because it was a bunch of people who just have generic interest hanging out. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really exist. That specifically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like the pop cons in our area that are more pop culture as opposed to like focused on anime or steampunk or horror or something like that all tends to be ones with like major celebrity draw, and that's what brings people in. And I want one that doesn't have that that's still fun.
And then you've got board game cons and the like that just draw a very specific kind of nerd.
I will say though, like I can, because we've talked about this before, there are a couple cons where we don't understand how this would be anyone's favorite con. I can absolutely understand how the Renaissance Fair is someone's favorite thing.
Yes. I do sort of know what you mean by that. But I'm going to be honest, I almost feel like the only reason the Renaissance Fair would be their favorite thing is they haven't actually discovered a good con yet. And I don't know if that's just me being mean.
Some people like the outdoor immersive historical fantasy aspects of it, and there aren't a lot of historical fantasy cons.
True. There should be more.
There should be. That are indoors. Honestly, if there was an indoor Renaissance Fair, that'd be great. Sorry if I hate the outdoors as much as I do.
It's okay.
I married you because you also hate camping.
Yeah, camping can go screw itself. Into the ground, where it uses the pole to put up a tent. I don't know how tents work.
I've never put up a tent.
Neither have I.
Anywho, do we have anything else you want to say about this con?
Not that I'm aware of. Again, so Ohio Renaissance Fair. Ultimately, it's fine.
It's fine.
I don't doubt there are people who had a blast today. People who
It's very much the Joe Biden of conventions.
Really, that's your reference point for that?
What would your reference point be?
For aggressively fine, but nobody our argument is nobody hates it. There are plenty of people who hate Joe Biden.
Yeah, I know, but no one hates them to the extent that they hate other I don't know. What is your vanilla ice cream? But I feel like that's mean to vanilla ice cream because vanilla ice cream is actually fantastic.
Vanilla ice cream is really good. No. This is the what's the world's most generic pop music?
Maroon 5.
Yeah, this is the Maroon 5 of events. It's fine. There's a reason it's as popular as it is, but at the same time,
Yeah.
So, next week we will be doing something weirder.
Yep.
And after that, we will see. So, thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you're listening on Spotify or any of those places, feel free to subscribe to it. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to do all the YouTube pleasantries, the like, the comment, the subscribe, the share, the ring the bell, the sacrifice of firstborn to the Google gods in exchange for them actually showing your subscriptions in your subscriber feed. All of that nonsense that you have to do nowadays. Thank you very much for listening. Do you have anything you would like to add before we stop the recording?
That's not a segment that we had planned. What was I supposed to say to that?
All I said was, is there anything you want to add before we're done?
No, I think Ren's Fair is worth going to once, at least. So if you're down, it's not going to do you harm to go and see if you like it. It's just not perfectly to our taste.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, thank you very much for listening, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.